Man, I think it's the next step up mentality as far as players. Our shifts keep changing. Everybody doing a different role, and so I think we all got the mentality where you give and you sacrifice, and I think that's what y'all see.
Over 7,200 fans packed into College Park Center. And let me be honest with you, they weren't there for the Wings. But when the game got tight, when it came down to grit, rebounding, execution, it wasn't Caitlin. It wasn't Angel Reese. It was Aliyah Boston.
Yeah, I think for us, it's about knowing that basketball is a game of runs. And they made their run in that third quarter. And honestly, just continue to stay composed and take it each possession at a time is something that we've been working on. And so for us, that was our focus, is get a stop, go down and score, get another stop, and we try to get a kill.
Who stood up and let the world know, I am not just a role player. And when she said it, she meant every single word. Let's start with what sent Twitter into orbit before tip-off. Caitlin Clark, out. The Fever listed her late as inactive due to a lingering ankle tweak from the previous game. She'd rolled it late in the fourth quarter and reportedly had some swelling. Team sources say it was precautionary, but fans were disappointed, especially those in Dallas who paid top dollar to see her. Show social media reactions. Paid $250 to see Caitlin Clark and she's out? Ankle rest? Come on! Now to the Fever's credit, they played it smart. You want your superstar healthy for the long run, but the decision left the team exposed and nearly cost them the game. Aliyah Boston.
Finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It really is a day-to-day thing, and I think for us, making sure that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness. It's anybody who's had some of these types of injuries understand that sometimes it's a process. She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So, we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
Finished with a season-high 27 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, and she did it on 73% shooting from the field. That's not good. That's dominant. And when the post-game mic came her way, she didn't mince words. I just feel like people are forgetting I'm not new to this. I've been that player. I know Caitlin gets the attention, but I'm not just here to rebound and run back down court. I'm a leader too. Let me be clear, this was not shade at Caitlin. This was Aliyah Boston demanding her respect. And based on what we saw in this game, she earned it.
Today at the game, what does it mean to you to just have their presence with you wherever you go?
Every game is a home game. I think you see that. People show up, they show out. I think it's great for this league, just people continuing to come to games and watch, because I think when people show up to watch a game, they might have came for one person, but they leave liking many more. And so I think that's the way you look at it, right? You've had this arena that's filled, and people are coming in, they're like, whoa, I like her, she's tough. And so I think it's just great for the game.
Coaches was very impressed with Aliyah, and they are saying Aliyah was tremendous. She showed leadership, presence, control, everything we needed in a tough environment. And Wings interim head coach Latricia Trammell, she said the quiet part out loud. We couldn't contain her. She outmuscled us every possession. That's how you shift narratives in this league. Let's get right into it. The Fever came out with urgency, and no one more so than Aliyah Boston. Right from the tip, it was clear. Indiana wasn't just going to survive without Caitlin Clark. They were going to attack. In those opening minutes, Boston established herself in the paint with deep seals, quick drop steps, and that classic soft hook over the left shoulder. She scored 8 of the Fever's first 12 points. And let's not forget Erica Wheeler. The vet stepped up as floor general, using her mid-range pull-up to keep Dallas honest in the pick and roll.
Play.
I feel a disappointment for them more than anything, because you want them to see her at her best and us at our best. I hate that for fans, but at the same time, again for us as a team, and for Caitlin as a person and player, her health and wellness is the priority.
Indiana ended the quarter on a 9-2 run, and get this, Dallas only had 2 field goals in the final 5 minutes. Defense was locked in, and the Wings looked rattled.
I think the biggest thing for us is our attention to detail in our screening. We've got to be great screeners. We got to make sure we slow down and use our screen, and our spacing. We've had some games where our spacing has been poor, and that has not allowed Kelsey to get downhill, and it hasn't allowed space for Aliyah to get going either. So I think that the 2 most important things for us right now offensively is attention to detail and screening and spacing.
Dallas smelled blood and came alive. It was Arike Agumbawale who flipped the switch. Her quick trigger shooting from the perimeter forced the Fever into scramble mode. She dropped 12 points in the second quarter alone. And Sabally? Huge impact. Whether it was switching on Boston or creating chaos in the passing lanes, she helped shift the momentum. By the time the first half ended, the Wings had erased a 12-point deficit and cut it to just 2. This quarter was a straight-up dogfight. For the first time, Dallas took the lead midway through the third. The Fever looked unsure. Play calls got predictable. Without Caitlin Clark's floor-stretching threat, defenders collapsed into the paint on every drive. But through it all, Boston didn't blink. Boston kept the team composed with her passing vision. She finished with 3 assists and could have had more. Meanwhile, the Wings were relentless. Tiara McCowan started bullying on the boards. The atmosphere was electric, and yes, Fever fans in the building were loud, but Dallas had seized the momentum. And this is where legends show up. Game tied, Fever couldn't hit from deep, Wings fans getting into it now, and Aliyah Boston? She locked in. She scored 8 points in the final 3 minutes, including 4 for 4 from the line in crunch time.
She's just such a smart player. She reads defensive well. She knows how to pick you apart. And so when you play against her, you have to make sure that you're aware of where she is at all times. And also she does a great job of putting her teammates in great position. So for us, I feel like it's kind of similar in college and in the league. Like Paige is just playing great basketball and making sure that she sets up her teammates for the same.
She also made the biggest defensive play of the night, a help side block that killed the Wings' last decent look. That's leadership. That's poise. That's a statement. Now, let's really break down the Caitlin Clark absence, not just emotionally, tactically. This team looked flat at times. The spacing issues, immediate. The pace, slower. And turnovers, they jumped 18% above their season average. Caitlin's value goes beyond the highlight passes and logo threes. She manipulates the defense. She opens lanes for Boston and Smith. Without her, defenders sagged into the paint, and it forced the Fever into tougher shots. Also worth noting, the team had just 12 assists total. That's their lowest of the season, and that tells you everything.
We'll start Ari today. We'll start her and bring Sid off the bench a little bit. I don't want to take Kelsey out of what she naturally does instinctually on the wing and overload her from a point guard perspective. So with having Ari and having Sid, they'll give us a couple different looks right there.
The Wings.
Here's the truth. Indiana was one bad bounce away from dropping a must-win road game. But thanks to Aliyah Boston's brilliance, they pulled it out. And maybe, just maybe, this was a night the WNBA world started to realize the Fever aren't just Clark's team. This is Boston's squad too, and they're better when both are firing. Let's take a moment to remind the world who Aliyah Boston is, because the WNBA and some of y'all in the media seem to have amnesia. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel that motivates us to work hard. Let's jump to the topic. She didn't just survive the transition to the pros, she thrived. But this season, something's been off, and it's not her talent, it's her touches. Boston's usage rate is down, her minutes are inconsistent, the offense at times forgets she exists in the paint, and that's criminal. But this game against Dallas, it was her reintroduction, her I'm still that woman moment. Now let's get into the conversation that's, can Aliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark really work together? Some analysts, and I'm not naming names, say that Clark dominates the ball too much, that she freezes Boston out. But that's lazy analysis. These two aren't incompatible, they're complementary. If, and only if, they're used the right way. Boston's dominance comes in the half court, where she can read, react, seal, and punish mismatches. Clark, she's a tempo queen. She pushes pace, hits quick trigger threes, and forces defenders to extend beyond the arc. Together they stretch defenses, vertically and horizontally. Put Clark in a high pick and roll, Boston dives, and you've got shooters in the corners. Boston gets doubled, Clark relocates. Boom, open three. What they need is structure, intentional sets, reps, and time, not chaos, not iso ball. This is on the coaching staff, because when they're clicking, it's not about Clark or Boston. It's about Clark and Boston, and that's a championship blueprint. The fans saw it. The media's waking up. Let's look at some of what's flying around right now. Aliyah Boston deserves her own shoe line, period. This was her night. Clark or no Clark, Boston's the anchor. Let's talk about how humble she's been despite the disrespect. Hashtag WNBA. This narrative, this idea that it's a Boston versus Clark dynamic, is tired, and frankly, it's insulting. We don't have to choose. We are witnessing two generational stars in different roles with different strengths, both learning to lead together. If Indiana gets this chemistry right, We're not talking playoffs. We're talking dynasty talk. The fan base knows it. The locker room knows it. The league better start preparing for it. That's leadership. That's poise. That's greatness. And if anyone still thinks Aliyah Boston is just the other star on this team, you haven't been watching. Let's zoom out for a second. What we just watched in that Fever Wings game, it wasn't just a tight road win or a star performance. It was a snapshot of where the WNBA is right now and where it's headed. We are living in a transformational moment in this league, and Aliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and this new rookie wave are right at the center of it. Let's talk about that crowd in Dallas, because if you didn't know better, you would have thought this was Gainbridge Fieldhouse South. Let's talk about that crowd in Dallas, because if you didn't know better, you would have thought this was Gainbridge Fieldhouse South. The Fever were the road team, but they had the crowd. Fever jerseys everywhere, Boston and Clark posters, the Let's Go Fever chants during the fourth quarter, deafening. This isn't normal, or at least it wasn't. Road games are turning into mini home games when the Fever come to town. Why? Because of the magnetism of this young core. Yes, Caitlin Clark draws fans, but so does Aliyah Boston. The entire ecosystem around this team is growing. The W is growing, not just in TV ratings, not just in jersey sales, but in culture. And that's a real shift. 2024 may go down as the most impactful rookie class the league has ever seen. Let's look at the names. Caitlin Clark, bringing millions of new eyes. Angel Reese, double-double machine. Cameron Brink, before her injury, elite shot blocking. Riki Jackson showing flashes in LA. And yes, Ari McDonald finally getting more burn in her new system. But here's the twist. The second-year players are also showing they're not ready to be pushed aside. Clark versus Reese, it's real. But you know what else is real? Clark versus Ariki. Boston versus Tiara McCowan, former Fever center, mind you. Sabally versus Nalissa Smith. These matchups feel personal, and fans are locked in. The rivalries are here, but they're player-driven, not team-driven, and that's the new era. These women know they are the show, and they're not afraid to remind you. The WNBA isn't asking for respect anymore, it's demanding it, and that's because of players like Aliyah Boston, who have done the quiet work, and players like Caitlin Clark, who bring in the spotlight. The key is, don't pit them against each other. Feed that ecosystem. Build around both. Because the demand is already here, the league just has to keep up. Here's the bottom line. The Indiana Fever are no longer just a young rebuilding team. They are the face of the league's next chapter. Aliyah Boston represents legacy, fundamentals, stability. Caitlin Clark represents flash, speed, expansion. And together, they're the WNBA's biggest opportunity and its biggest pressure point. Let me know in the comments, is Aliyah Boston underappreciated? Can the Fever win without Caitlin Clark? And who do you think is the most dominant big in the league right now? If you love this kind of coverage, smash that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns, and hit the bell so you don't miss a single second of this historic WNBA season. This is Breaking Basket, where we don't just talk hoops, we live it.